Welcome back. You're watching News Centre. Illegal gambling and betting is expected to hit an all-time high ahead of the upcoming Indian Premier League. According to a report by the Digital India Foundation, deposits in illegal betting and gambling are at over $100 billion every year and are growing at an annual rate of 30%. I caught up with Arvind Gupta, co-founder of the foundation, and began by asking him what are the different channels of illegal betting in India and the implications of it in the country.
This is a very big problem. We have done extensive studies on how the illegal and offshore betting networks are operating in India. And the reason we started this off was what we are seeing is a market of about $100 billion of revenue, at least, maybe even more, operating illegally. And despite the many good efforts of the government, they keep prospering because they come out with mirror sites, and they deploy a lot of innovative marketing and advertising techniques, and they're just flourishing. And, if you compare to the domestic legally, onshore platforms which are operating in India under various jurisdictions, they do a proper KYC, they follow fair gaming practices, and they above all to the government, they give GST. So they're accountable in many forms, but here is a totally parallel market operating mostly from overseas, which is probably 20-25x the size. So if the domestic legal operators are doing about $5 billion, these guys are doing $100 billion at least. And as I said, despite advisories and orders to ban them, they keep creating mirror sites or Parimatch 1, Parimatch 2, and they keep operating. And they are basically operating via, a lot of nexus and using, as I said, innovative techniques of social media advertising, big tech advertising, and finding, new payment methods of cryptocurrency. And finally, this is funding, of course, this money is going overseas. They don't pay any taxes. They don't have any KYC. That means a lot of black hawala money is probably being rotated through this. And lastly, this is, in many instances, we have found this to be funding even things like elections. So this is a huge concern. We brought out this report just before the start of the IPL season, and we see a peak in this during the IPL season. In these activities, the hits of these websites go through the roof. As per our study, even just like if you take 4 or 5 of the top sites, Parimatch, Stake, 1xBet, Battery Bet, they probably do about 1.62 billion visits a year. So that's the scale of their operations. And even their surrogates and mirrors, which are like not supposed to be the real names, even do 200, 300 million hits a year. So this is a huge scale that these illegal operators operate on. And it has implications, as I said, on many things. But lastly, it has the biggest implication it has is on consumers, because a lot of unsuspecting consumers in India you lose their money, and there will be no way of tracing that because they don't follow any norms.
Are you saying that right now illegal gambling through online sites and applications is peaking during the IPL?
Yes, absolutely, Parikshit. It peaks during the IPL season. As you say, IPL, we see a huge peak during the duration of the IPL. It's a short format game. There are multiple games on certain weekends, so there's a huge spike around that, and it is something that destroys the fun in the cricket also, because
Right.
it is this money is being used for things that we can't even imagine.
So where is the bulk of this money going? Has the Digital India Foundation been able to trace which are the countries where this is going, and what's exactly it has been used for predominantly?
Well, that is, I think, a very deeper research that we will need to take, and with the law enforcement agencies. But the fact remains, Parikshit, the fact that you're asking that question is part of the core problem, that because they use mule accounts pass on money from one to another. Sometimes these accounts are unsuspecting users. They don't even know their accounts are being used, and monies are being transferred. A lot of UPI operators in India do have given warnings to them, but then they register their companies in for a particular purpose, and then quickly change over during the IPL season to all these gambling collections and and illegal betting, and then they transfer money out and they're gone. So these are typical fly-by-night operators. And but what we know conclusively is that at least 2,500, 3,000 crores is transferred non-IPL months every month outside India. Where it lands up is one of the most complex thing. And if it is crypto, Parikshit, which is another demon in this whole money laundering schemes, because you really then can't trace who got the money, where it went. It's in a cloud somewhere. So to answer that question, you really need international law enforcement to come together, if to
Right.
answer even partially. And I think that's one of the things we need to do.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Centre. More news and updates continue right here.